Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sanderlanche podcast. We have returned after our 1 week sojourn. Yeah, I know, right? So long. This week, we are going to be discussing chapters 18, 19, and 20 of Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson, book 3 of the Stormlight Archive, wherein Vale has a night on the town. It's interesting. We get some more Dalinar flashback as he tries to eat dinner and eventually succeeds. And then we get a very short Kaladin chapter of him teaching people some stuff. So all of that sounds not... I made it sound less exciting than it is what I'm getting at. But anyway, I'm Data, and with me today is...
Jack.
And Joe.
No Jaymee again this week. Sorry, y'all. I know she missed last one too. But, you know, you can't control viruses and things like that. So what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Words so easy.
Twir. Wait,
Words so easy. That's from Halo.
That is Halo.
What is in... No, I was thinking about Hail Caesar.
Hail Caesar,
like,
yeah. Would that it were so simple.
Yeah. Would that it were so simple. Thank you.
I don't know that I've ever seen that one.
It's quite good.
It's pretty good.
Is that a Coen Brothers?
It is,
Yeah.
and it's very Coen Brothers-y. If you're not on board with their style, you might hate it, but
No, I like Coen Brothers.
It is very
Big
Coen
fan.
Brothers-y. That's a good descriptor, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I big fan of Coen Brothers. Also like Wes Anderson films. I know some people don't like those, but I enjoy them.
I like them both.
Yeah, see, that one I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah. I think Jamie's with you, Data. Jamie likes Coen Brothers, but not Wes Anderson.
There's a new Wes Anderson film coming out next month, I think.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Benicio del Toro is the main character.
The Phoenician Scheme, I
The
think.
Phoenician Scheme, yeah, there it is. I see it.
Yeah, the Phoenician Scheme, yeah.
I googled Wes Anderson, and I was like, the first thing that is Grand Budapest Hotel. I'm like, well, that's not new.
That's a good one.
I had to go like 9 in to find, the Phoenician Scheme. There it is.
I think my least favorite Wes Anderson is either Life Aquatic, not a big fan of that one, or what was that other one I didn't like? Moonrise Kingdom, not a big fan of that one.
Really? That was the one that got me on board with them.
Oh, really? I like it a little bit better than Life Aquatic, but it's just not. I don't know. Something about it doesn't sit well with me.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of Life Aquatic either. That may be where I learned that I'm like, I'm not sure that I like this guy.
Yeah, his last film I actually really enjoyed. I can't even remember the name of it.
Asteroid City?
Yeah, that one. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, I really like that one. That one seemed like it got a bit more personal.
Anyway, after that pre-song digression.
Wow, yeah. Have we ever gone off track in the intro before?
I don't know.
Well, now we have.
Now, hang on to something, everybody. The Sanderlanche is about to begin.
Yearnings intertwined, the golden age in ashes once again. Under stirring stars, in the burning shards, kindle fragments of the falling rain. So look to the break of dawn, to the break of dawn. Stronger together now.
Before we get into it, I wanted to let everyone know that we used to use Skype for our records, which people in the Discord, when I told them, like, hey, we're making this move, they're like, really? You guys still use... I mean, why? Why would anyone have been using Skype? But we were. It was convenient. But we've moved to recording over Discord, and I'm curious to get feedback from you guys. Last week was the first all-Discord episode. This will be our second one. Leave us some comments. Are you noticing any improvement in the audio quality? Are you... or has it gotten worse somehow? You know, this is completely new for us, so I want to get feedback and tweak it as necessary. So let me know.
Yeah. Do you guys liked our voices before? Do you hate them now? Did you hate them before? Now you like them?
We got one comment on YouTube on like an Oathbringer episode that was, I'm going to bring it up because it was like first time listening and really enjoyed this. Even without knowing anything about the book, it was fun and engrossing to listen. You guys have good chemistry. So I love that somebody came in, Oathbringer chapters 15.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, chapters 15 to 17 of Oathbringer. Somebody that was their first one, and they're like, you know what, you guys are good.
Every comic is somebody's first comic, I guess, but cheers.
So thank you. I hope that you've continued to this week, my friend.
Is he going to read the books?
You should also read the book. Yeah, if you're listening
Yeah.
to this and you're that person, you should read these books. They're actually really good.
Yeah, that, and you might want to start from the beginning.
Well, we've now, after listening to that episode, so much has been spoiled. I'm sorry.
I mean,
Oh, was
yeah.
that a specifically spoilery episode? I don't
Well,
know.
I don't know, but I mean, obviously, this far in, I mean, people have magical powers, and we're discussing them and stuff. Like, if you start
Sure.
back at the beginning of the Stormlight Archive, you know.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
man, like we thought it was weird. It's like, oh, who's going to pick up a podcast halfway through like book 3 or anything? But not just that. Someone picked it up, not just halfway through the book, but not having read the books. I'm like, I mean, thank you for the listener and your positive comment. I appreciate it, but
Yeah.
why?
Yeah, you know, sometimes stuff just pops up in your YouTube suggestions, and you're like, yeah, let's give it a shot. Oh man, I love it. I love it so much. But yeah, so provide some feedback if you notice a difference here. If you don't notice any difference, that's good to know too. But anyway, we did 3 chapters this week. What did you guys think of these 3 chapters?
I need a minute to compose myself after that. Like, oh my god. Okay, these chapters. I'm going to be honest. I've had about enough of past Dalinar. I'm done.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, but not for the reasons you think. Yes, he's a ruthless, bloodthirsty asshole. And the thing is, a ruthless, bloodthirsty asshole can still be like quite a compelling character. Look at Tywin Lannister, for instance. No, I'm fine with reading about one of those. I'm just sick of the fact that he's an idiot, ruthless, bloodthirsty asshole. I'm sorry, but reading guys like I'm the dumbass. I just kill people. Like, I don't listen to plans. I just where's my knife? I need my knife to cut my steak. I was like, okay, no, I'm done. Like, this is not fun to read. This is just annoying. Like,
That was good. That was a good Texan impersonation there, Dak.
I was like, yeah, I know that guy actually.
Yeah, that guy sounds super familiar. I need my knife to cut my steak. Yeah, that's that sounds pretty Texan.
that was your typical interaction at Walmart, was it? We don't have Walmart.
Gosh, I hope somebody at Walmart isn't like, "Where's my knife?" But sure,
I mean, if they're buying a knife, you know.
yeah. But surely they don't want to cut their steak in Walmart. But who knows?
I mean, it is Walmart, so who does know really?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And I'm not, I'm not saying I'm too snooty for Walmart. I shop at Walmart regularly, and the big box store version called Sam's.
we don't have a Costco, so.
No, we don't have a Costco.
I went to a Walmart once while I was in the States, and I remember turning the corner and it was like, oh, here are the potato chips, and I turned the corner and there are the hand grenades. The fuck?
Wow, that's a weird setup for a Walmart.
I don't have hand grenades, I don't think. I feel cheated.
Yeah,
Yeah, I turned the corner from the chips and there was a fucking ordnance section. I'm like,
what?
granted,
What state
it was
were
all
you in?
locked. Florida.
Oh,
Okay,
well, there you go.
Gotta have their grenades for their gators, I guess.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, so that's Dalinar. Like, the Shallan stuff was interesting. I didn't quite get what was going like, okay, she's threatening these people, and then she's walking away, and then she's coming back. I'm like, there's a lot going on here. But it was interesting and enjoyable to read, and yeah, I like Kaladin with the Voidbringers. And it's like, yeah, he's trying to alright, new Bridge 4. So just building up a new team, trying to win their trust. Cool.
It's
All right,
we're already replacing Bridge 4. How sad.
I can get behind like recruiting the Voidbringers. That'll be fun. New dynamic.
That's
but
true.
Yeah,
Relaine can have some friends, you know.
yeah.
Oh man, I gotta admit, this is one of my favorite Dalinar flashbacks, just because it's just so over the top. With he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna go out in the storm, find my knife. I give no shits about anything. And yet he's still capable, because you see, like, he catches on to the assassin just in time and like swiftly takes care of business.
I'll
Yeah.
give you that. That was pretty cool. Like, he's definitely got good instincts. But I'm just like, yeah, I'm struggling to see how this guy becomes the Dalinar that we know.
I could see that.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's the point of the chapter, or the point of these flashbacks. It's like, how does this guy go
probably
from this to this?
Yeah, I'm sure that is, but it's not fun to read in the moment.
No, I get where you're coming from.
Fair.
I kind of had the, not obviously in the same way, and we got a lot of good backstory, which we're getting in this, but that's kind of how I felt about like the Kaladin chapter flashbacks. I was just kind of like, man, I get it. It's like, how did you get from here to here? But some of these are really dragging.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I enjoyed the chapters. I would agree. Some of the Dalinar, like, it was almost like they made him too stupid and yet smart. Like, he's too much of a brute as far as like mentally, which doesn't really fit, I feel like, the character, right? But you could argue, his brother dying was an extremely traumatic experience for him. We're seeing him in these flashbacks before this is when the first time he meets his wife. Maybe that relationship changes him a whole lot. Maybe forgetting his wife changed him a whole lot. We don't know at this point, like, how the transformation takes place, what happens. But I would agree with Dak to an extent, like, reading Dalinar acting this way and kind of being this completely different personality, and not only that, but like at times not even really using his brain. It's like, it is kind of like, what am I reading? Why I don't care. Like, this character is not endearing to me, and it's like it's too foreign from the character we know, that it's like we haven't been able to connect the dots yet. At least to me, it's like I can't connect the dots yet between these two personalities or these two phases of his life. Like, it's almost overdone, But I mean, it's not bad. It's just not super enjoyable.
Yeah, and you know how long the book is. We're going to be seeing this for a lot of flashbacks, and it's like,
Right.
oh, that's daunting.
Yeah, he's met his wife now, and so maybe we'll start to see a slight turn. I think so far our predicaments have been basically like that. Maybe that turn doesn't actually happen until his wife dies. That's kind of what we've been predicting. So we'll see if that change begins to take place before that. But yeah, it's definitely different. The Kaladin stuff, it's good. It's Kaladin. He's doing his Kaladin thing. He's trying to bring people together. He seems like more of a bondsmith than Dalinar does at this point. He's got some very legitimate concerns about the Parshmen. Like, if he helps them, is he just setting them up to fight his own people? Like, that's a very legitimate concern. But at the same time, I think he can't sit back and do nothing, right? These people, he's trying to get these people to trust him, but that's going to be extremely difficult. Because even if they trust Kaladin, right, they don't trust the Alethi and the other peoples of the world as a whole. And this is just one small group. So how does that work? And I think Kaladin, what we see in these chapters is Kaladin is an underdog rooter. Like, he's a guy who's always like, I want the underdog to succeed, right? And so he doesn't see these Parshmen as a threat, because they're obviously not immediately anyway.
Yeah, not yet.
And he wants to help them because he's like, man, I want these people to have something, to succeed, to feel good about themselves, to be better. It's a very noble kind of like mentality to have, but at the same time, it's like, is he getting? And this is the conflict he has within himself during the chapter. He talks about it internally, and with Syl, it's like, am I getting these people ready to slit our throats? Like, what am I doing here? What can I do, like, here? And then the Shallan stuff, the Veil stuff was pretty good this chapter. I think it went, again, her different, like, these different personalities that she slips in, which you could argue is just variations of her own personality and maybe acting a little bit. Sometimes it's a little overdone. Like, when she stabs her hand through that other guy's hand, I was like, okay, that's a little out there, Shallan.
Little extreme.
I know you can heal immediately with Stormlight, so maybe that's what you're thinking. But it was like she took the role too far. Like, she's become such a method actor in this role as Veil that it's like, okay, was that really necessary to get what you needed in that moment? And so it was a little different. But yeah, good stuff. I mean, definitely starting to get into a lot of mysteries, right? We're not explaining a lot of mysteries. We're just adding more questions. That can sometimes be frustrating for me because I'd like to get some answers, but we're early in the book yet, so we've got time.
It's interesting how you feel about because Shallan kind of, as these other, disguised as Veil, or last time I guess it was Radiant. It's like, she does seem to go kind of into it to a potentially unhealthy degree at times.
Right.
Such as stabbing your hand, which is, I think, the definition of unhealthy.
It may be in part because the powers actually do that to her, like they make her go to that place, or it may be because she's experienced a lot of trauma in her life, and it's kind of leaking out in unhealthy ways, you know? So there's a lot of different ways that could be occurring. And I guess, like, for me, I just want to know which it is, right? Like, are these expressions of unhealthy actions developing out of her traumatic experiences, or is this like the Stormlight power weaving itself so tightly? See what I did there? Good pun. Weaving itself so tightly that it like actually drives her to do those things, right? Because we know from other examples that some types of investiture will actually drive a person to do things that maybe ordinarily they wouldn't do. We don't know if this is one of those types, and I don't know if it stems from the Spren specifically or how that works, but is there an amount of influence that the powers have over a person? And if so, is it varying degrees based on what their powers are?
Interesting. It could be like the way you phrase that makes me think of like the various Lantern Corps.
Yeah.
In DC, because
sure.
like some of them have a much greater effect on you than other ones.
Right. Fear, rage.
Yeah, like when you get to the ends of the spectrum, like rage, it really just transforms a person into like a rage monster a lot of the time. Whereas when you're in the middle of the spectrum at will, it's mostly you affecting it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's an interesting. Yeah, maybe we will figure out. I don't know that we've seen other. We don't know that many other orders. We know like Kaladin and a little bit of Renarin and Dalinar, and haven't seen much of Yasna still.
No.
So we don't know how much any of those like powers affect them necessarily.
She's complete Yasna. If I know Yasna, and I don't, because we actually haven't had that much with her on page over these 3 books, I would say that she's in complete control of whatever power she has.
You think so? She does seem the type who would be. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
fair. All right, well, I guess let's get into these chapters. There's a couple other things I want to touch on, but we will do it as we get there because we're going to talk about the chapters. So we start out with Double Vision, and we've now moved into the segment where I think all of our epigraphs are very short in this whole thing.
Yeah, it's just frustrating.
It's just being padded out now.
Yeah.
You cannot have a spice described to you, but you must taste it for yourself.
It's Quan all over again. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Is that true? Can you have a spice described to you, or must you taste the spice for yourself?
I would argue that there are people that are good at describing spices, but on the other side of that coin, there are people who are not good at forming sensory, like taste senses into words. So I think it really just depends on the person. I'd say I'm actually pretty good at describing tastes, but other people I know are not.
So I'm not. I'd have to compare it against another spice. So
probably also depends on the person it's being described to, because some people would be better at like translating into their own mind than other people would.
Right. And also you have to take into account the possibility, which this could be a deep discussion in and of itself, so I'll try to keep it short, that we don't all experience tastes or colors or things in the same way, right? So like my green may not be your green, and we've probably all heard that discussion in some form or fashion before, but tastes may kind of be the same. Like my bitter may not be the same as your bitter.
Interesting. Yeah. From reactions, I feel like spicy is pretty. Like a strong spice gets the same reaction from.
Yeah, I think that's a different thing, because it's like a neuron thing, right? Like it blocks your
chemical.
Yeah. It's like the actual food has a chemical in it that tells your brain, hey, that's hot.
I mean, I think that's how taste works in general.
Oh, is it? Well, there you go.
I don't know. Anyway, yeah, let's not go down that rabbit hole. We're with Shallan, who is becoming Vale. So previously, she'd wanted to go out as Vale. And then Adolin showed up, and they had a cute little stay-in date where they practice their sword play, and were told they weren't allowed to mate, and so on and so forth. So
Yeah.
now it's time.
Cute. So cute.
And right off the bat, she's already getting very... the way she describes it is like becoming Vale is a relief for the pain of Shallan. Shallan has suffered all this stuff, and Vale has never had any of that stuff happen to her. She's tough. She can handle it, which already feels a little unhealthy to me, but whatever. And so she's going out with a knife in her, like, sticking out of her satchel, and another like long knife strapped to her waist. So she's ready for trouble. And Pattern says, "Oh, this is a good lie. Not like that other one. Radiant, you slip it in and out of her like the sun behind clouds."
I'm gonna say, like, I prefer Vale to Radiant as well. Radiant was just kind of.
So I can't think of the word I was going to use. So stuck up. Maybe that's what I was thinking of for Vale.
Yeah, that works.
I love that the way Shallan picks up Pattern to go with her, and she puts her hand on the wall, and then Pattern can crawl onto like her arm and then into her coat or whatever. It's just a fun little detail for me.
I'd always pictured Patton kind of just flinging himself around like a shuriken.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because it doesn't give you the impression that he can like jump or anything. He has to actually physically move on from one thing onto another thing.
Interesting.
And as they're walking out into Urithiru, they have Pattern's like, you know what? I like that guy, that sword guy, the one that you're not allowed to mate with yet. And she's like, can we like refer to him in a different way?
No mating.
And she's like, but you hate his sword. And Pattern comes out with this he very philosophical, I feel like. He's like, no, hey, I figured this out about you humans. Y'all are weird. You don't care about the dead. You build chairs and doors out of corpses. You eat corpses. You make clothing from corpses. Like, you guys just love corpses.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Sean's like, I guess that's true, but she doesn't like kind of the
insinuation. Yeah.
What's the Simpsons meme? It's like, it's true, but he shouldn't say it.
He's out of line, but he's got a point.
Yeah.
That's a great Falcon and the Winter Soldier moment. Yeah. And Pattern goes, it is grotesque, but you all must kill and destroy to live. So I should not hate Adolin Kholin for wielding a corpse. And Vale's like, you just like him because he says to respect the sword. And Pattern's like, yes, very, very nice man. Wonderfully smart, too. And she's like, fine, if you like him so much, why don't you marry him? And Pattern buzzes and is like, is that? And she goes, no, that's not an option. Oh.
Patton's like, can I?
Oh, I love that this possibility is raised briefly and she shoots him down. He's like, oh, all right.
The overall villain of the book is Patton, not allowed to marry Adolin, so he goes on a rampage.
And then there's kind of a nice moment, but real weird, where she's like, hey, you remember the other night when we were talking about, you were talking about dying? And he's like, oh yeah, I mean, I might have to die. I can do that. And she's like, please don't leave me. And he says, but you hate me. And she goes, I hate myself too. Just please don't go. Don't die. Which is a sad and sweet little moment for this pair in a way.
Yeah.
Pattern is happy about it though.
I'm happy about it too. Honestly, Patton's one of my favorite characters. I would be heartbroken if he were to leave us.
Yeah, Pattern's fun. You know, mating and whatnot.
Pattern is top tier for sure.
T-O-P. Top.
They go out into the marketplace, an area they call the Breakaway. And we saw at the end of the last book that Navani had a whole plan. You know, certain stuff's supposed to go here, certain stuff's supposed to go there. It's all supposed to be very organized, very nice. The people to run these shops, they didn't want that. The merchants had all these complaints, you know, I need more storage, I need to be closer to the well. But really, it was just that they wanted this bigger, more insane market because it's harder to regulate. And Sabariel, who is now High Prince of Commerce, is like, hey, this is my area. I agree. So there you go. And so she's wandering through this much bigger, much more crazy market. And it points out a couple times that this is inside Urithiru, like in the halls. So there's no sunlight. There's no day or night in here. It's just stuff happens when it happens. And so she looks around. She's like, I need a bar where I can get some information. And she finds one, and she's like, look, this is not exactly the kind of bar I need. I need one that is like more rich and yet less rich at the same time. Like, it needs to be shadier, but richer people need to be there drinking. But this will work for a start. And she orders some wine, Sapphire. And the bartender's like, okay, well, what kind? We've got these different kinds. And she's like, oh shit, I don't know anything about wine. I'll take the Vedin one because she's from Vedinar, so why not? Or she's from Yakaved. I guess Vedinar is the capital city. Anyway. And she gets some wine, but it's like a clear liquid. She's like, hey, wait a second, this isn't Sapphire. And it turns out that she doesn't know much about how alcohol works. And so she's instantly called herself out as like not experienced in this area to all the people in the bar. But she kind of went into this knowing she was going to make mistakes, so she just has to roll with it. Apparently, Fancy Light Eyes wine has infusions put into it to add color. And we've discussed it before, and there will be, at some point in this book, an illustration of all the various wines that the Alethi have, the different colors, and some idea of what they mean. But that is much later. For now, I think we... Here, I'm gonna find it so I can see if there's any relevant. So the Sapphire wine that she's ordering and drinking, from the notes, is made of it's made from a grain that's fermented, and it's probably like the closest equivalent you would find to like whiskey on Roshar. So if that gives you guys an idea,
I like whiskey.
Whiskey is my thing.
It's pea good.
So you might be a Sapphire wine fan if you were on Roshar.
Here's the thing, though. You don't sip on whiskey, which I know she doesn't, right? She gets it in a small glass and she just knocks it back. Definitely wouldn't call it a wine.
No.
Yeah, it's one of those Roshar things where lots of different stuff gets lumped into the category of wine. It goes so on.
Yeah, and I mentioned beer, but they haven't really mentioned much else.
Right.
Yeah. So you go from, let's see, the weakest is pink, which is described here as floral and aids alertness. And orange is almost more like a fruit juice, like maybe a little, like very slightly alcoholic. You go up to auburn, which is made from from fermented fruit, and is more like what you would think of as wine that came from grapes. All the way, and then, like I said, Sapphire is from grain, and it says it's kind of like whiskey. And then Violet is the strongest. And there's no note on kind of like what that would be comparable to. But so you can see that there's lots of different
Tequila
things that kind of fall into the category of wine.
Yeah. Interesting.
And so the bartender's like, oh, you're some kind of like servant in a light-eyed house. And so you coming out for a night out on your own for the first time. Sure.
You don't know nothing about wine.
And she like knocks it back and she's like, holy crap, this burns like it's on fire. What is wrong with this? It tastes like lye. What is wrong with these people? There's no sweetness to this at all. And the bartender's like, hey, like clearly it's just trying and failing to not laugh out loud is the bouncer. And the bartender's like, hey, let me get you something to chase that with, something a little easier. And Shalon's like, no, I'm so happy to be drinking this again after so long. Another one.
Who are you trying to impress?
Yeah. What are you doing? Why are you doing this to yourself?
And Shalon keeps paying, so the bartender brings her some more. And the bouncer, on the other hand, he's like, oh, this is hilarious. This is the best entertainment I'm getting all day.
I can't blame the bouncer, really.
And she drinks the other one, the second one, and she's like, you guys really drink this dreadful liquid?
And you went back for more.
Yeah, and then she asked for more again.
Oh, boy.
And that's when the bouncer's like, dude, try sipping it. Like, it goes down easier in sips. And she goes, great. That way I can savor the terrible flavor.
Savor the terrible flavor.
So bitter. Wine is supposed to be sweet. He's like, it depends on how you make it. Sapphire can be made from talu, which is a grain that we know of that they've discussed. No natural fruit, just some coloring for accent.
Maybe this is why you don't call every kind
Yeah.
It's it's just like burnt chickens. It's a thing.
Oh yeah. They're all chickens.
Yep.
We're all chickens down here, Georgie.
The bouncer explains that he's worked some light ice parties, so he knows kind of the highs and lows of how this works. And for a little bit, she realizes like, oh, he's flirting with me. Okay, this is unexpected. And she's kind of offended for a second, and then she's like, oh, no, okay, I guess it makes sense. I mean, Vale's not like cute, but she's okay looking, and she looks like she has money. She's clean, she's got decent clothes, much nicer than the other people in here. And she explains she's from the Sabaro war camp when he asks, and he's like, yeah, that makes sense. Sabaro's camp has the most eclectic community. And then she kind of just she starts thinking about stuff, and she kind of just lets him go. I love the description that it's just like, he just keeps talking, and every once in a while she has to throw in a word, and he's happy to just continue telling stories and things. Which, could you be more obnoxious flirting with a woman? But whatever.
Yeah, that's his deal. Obviously, he doesn't go home with a lot of women.
Maybe not. Or maybe this guy's popular. Who knows? And she's starting to get real drunk after a while because she keeps drinking more. And he's just like, you probably shouldn't have any more. She's had 4 cups at this point. And she's like, why am I feeling so sick? I mean, they were little cups. She doesn't have much of a tolerance, And the bartender's like, dude, Jor, I could have told you were wasting your time with this one. She'll be out before the hour is done. Wonder what she's trying to forget. And Jor's like, hey, no, she's just trying to have some fun. And the bartender's like, yeah, sure. With eyes like those, I'm sure that's what it is. So really, she has some haunted eyes in her veil disguise. And then, like, drunk Shallan is sitting here, like, he's like, hey, do I need to get you a pound keen? Like, you're gone. And she's like, no, I'm fine. And then she kind of like slips in. He's like, hey, this place can be dangerous. And she's like, oh yeah. Did people get stabbed? Yeah, you know some stabbings? He's like, well, I mean, not in this area, but where? So I can, stay away. And he tells her about, someone got stabbed behind one of the taverns in Al's Alley just last night. And she's like, oh, it was strange, right? And he's like, oh yeah, you heard? And then she tries to stand up, almost falls over, draws him some stormlight, and suddenly, all the drunkenness is gone. And dead sober, she's like, thanks. That was exactly what I needed. Barkeep, we good?
It's a real Wayne trick.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely. I like to imagine that when they absorb all the alcohol, their spren gets drunk.
That'd be funny.
I feel like it has to go somewhere, right?
Yeah,
And
the
now-
pattern's just buzzing.
He's just constantly buzzing. He's like, and then I said to the wind spren, it's like, fuck you, buddy, mating.
Yeah.
And then he uses all his tendrils to flip him the bird.
Shallan, call Adolin. I want to talk to him. He makes me feel something.
Oh, and poor Jor, he's like, did I just get played? Like, what the hell? She pats him on the cheek. It's like, thanks, Jor. Thanks for the conversation.
Interlude 1, Jaw.
Yeah. Jor walked home alone that night. And then when he got
murdered.
to his house, that's exactly what I was going to say. When he got to his house, he was murdered.
Somebody stabbed him in the eye.
Stabbed in the eye.
That sucks.
And then they realize, hang on, that's not a knife. That's a blow dart.
It was Marie's all along. As she's heading towards Al's Alley, she's like, Pattern, the stormlight healed me, or made me sober. And he goes, yeah, it healed you of the poison. And she's like, oh, well, that's useful. He goes, oh, I thought you'd be angry. I mean, you drank the poison on purpose, right? And she's trying to explain to him, like, why we're doing what we're doing, why I'm doing that, but it's kind of, it's hard to explain. So she's just like, I don't think I did a very good job in there. And he goes, oh, of getting drunk? Yeah. Well, you gave it a good effort. That was a good try at getting drunk, Shallan. You'll do it next time.
Patton's just like, oh, it's just another form of your human thrill seeking. You guys poison yourselves and see how long it takes to wear off. And see if you do anything stupid in the meantime.
I've been doing some extensive research too, and it also seems that getting extensively poisoned leads to faster mating.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong, dude. You're not wrong, Walter. Just an asshole. And Pattern says, like, she's like, no, when I got drunk, Vale slipped away and I lost control. And Pattern's like, no, Vale is just a face. And Shalon says, no, Vale is a woman who didn't giggle when she got drunk or whine or act like a silly teenager. She hadn't been sheltered her whole life, practically locked away until she went crazy and murdered her own family. And then things get real fucking weird. Where Shalon's like, my brothers, Pattern, I didn't kill them, right? And Pattern's like, what?
This was concerning.
And she starts thinking, like, I talked to Balat over a span read, but I had light weaving then. Even if I didn't know it, I could have, like, made up the messages from him. And Pattern's like, dude, no. Your brothers are alive. Murray's said he has them and they're on their way here. This isn't the lie, can't you tell?
Yeah. It's a little concerning there, Shalon.
Yep, don't know what to make of this.
Well, here's what I make of it. So, I mean, Shalon had been living a lie, basically, right? Like, her for a long, long time. And now that she realizes that part of it might have been due to powers that she had without realizing it, without thinking it, she's now second guessing, like, everything. It's like, she's second guessing her relationship with Adolin. She's second guessing, like, who she is. She's second guessing her ability to cope with things. She's second guessing her ability to be herself. And along with that, I guess would come, like, second guessing, like, yeah, well, to protect myself, to suppress these terrible things that I might have done, and up to and including killing my own brothers, if that is something I did, which I don't remember, then, like, I get it. I get where it's coming from, but it's still very concerning.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, there are concerns. And if there are not, there should be. But she slips into Vale again, and then she's like, oh, no, yeah, no, it's fine. Of course I can tell the difference. What are you talking about? And Patter's like, yeah, there's something wrong with these lies you place upon yourself, and I don't understand it. And the thing is, like, she keeps all of this stuff to herself. Other than Pattern, she has no one to talk to about this. So, and Pattern doesn't know enough to recognize when something is, like, seriously wrong. So he's just like, I don't think this is right, but I can't, be sure. So, all right. And she goes to the new place, Al's Alley, and goes into the bar, which all of these places are just made from like pieces of wood, random crates as tables and chairs and stuff. Just whatever they can find. And this is exactly the sort of place she's looking for. More rundown than the last place, but people in here, they're not wearing like worker clothes. They have like military coats and other richer outfits. And she's like, yep, this is what I was looking for. All right. And there's a line of people waiting for drinks, and she ignores all of them and walks right up and orders her the strongest thing you have. And it's like, oh yeah, Vedden Sapphire, single barrel. It's like, yeah, right. If I wanted water, I'd go to the well. You gotta have something stronger. And he pulls out a jug. Horneater White, he says, thumping it on the table. No idea what they ferment to make the stuff, but it takes paint off real nice. She's like, all right then, I'll take some of that. Because she's just going for the gold. She knows she can avoid getting drunk now if she wants. So she's like, all right, let's do this. And it's an even smaller cup. It's a teeny tiny little cup. And she downs it in one gulp, and instant nausea, accompanied by a tremor through her muscles as she tried to resist throwing up. But Vale expected this. So it's all good. And she goes, great, leave the jug. And everyone's just staring at her now, like, what the hell? And so she pays, and she keeps pouring herself more of this Horneater stuff, which tastes even worse than the last stuff she was drinking.
She's basically just drinking gin at this point. Just straight gin.
Horneater White just screams moonshine to me.
Yeah.
Or like some Everclear type stuff.
Yeah.
Made it in a bathtub.
And after a couple of glasses of it, the bartender tries to take it away. She's like, hey, I'm not done with that. And the bartender's like, look, if you keep doing what you're doing, one of two things is going to happen. You're going to puke all over my bar, or you're going to die. You're not a Horneater. This will kill you. Which, I mean, you remember back when we were in the war camps and Rock would try to order like Horneater lager, and Ka, the waitress, was like, "No, that stuff melts our flagons. We don't serve that." So horn eaters, they're serious about their booze, is what I'm getting.
Also, their internal organs must be made of something much stronger
Yeah.
than the average person.
Yeah, it seems that way. And the bartender's like, no. I've seen your type before with that haunted look. You're going to get drunk and pick a fight. I don't care what you want to forget. Go somewhere else to do it. So everyone's like, she has these haunted eyes. She's trying to forget something. And Vale, like, cocks an eyebrow, like, getting kicked out of the most disreputable bar in the whole market. Well, I guess at least my reputation won't suffer here. And that's when she segues. She's like, look, I'm here about a murder, not to tear your bar down. No, I'm not with the guard. I heard rumors about a body. I'm looking for a man who killed my little sister. He always kills the same way. I need more information about the person who was killed here. And the bartender's like, look, I can't say anything, but those guys over there might be able to say something. And those are the guys that I pay to keep my bar out of trouble. So if someone had disturbed this establishment in a way that risked the authorities shutting down the place, as that Aladar is so fond of doing, those are the people who would have taken care of the problem. It's like, oh, okay then. And so she's going to go over and talk to those guys. But I love the little detail that, like, just before she goes, she kind of taps her cup again and, like, cocks her head, hopefully, like, come on, just one more. And the bartender's like, oh, fine. One more shot of Horn-Eater White. And there are several people at this table. There's one unoccupied chair, and Shallan just sits in it. There's a light-eyed woman at the table who is wearing she's wearing a hava, like light-eyed women wear, but not a safe hand sleeve. She's wearing a glove, and the glove has the fingers cut off. So Shallan's like, oh my god, how brazen. Showing your fingers, like, that's dirty.
This continues to baffle me about the safe hands.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fair. Yeah.
Also, maybe I missed it. Can married women have their safe hand uncovered?
I think all the married women we've seen definitely still have their safe hands covered.
Okay.
The woman says, that's Ur's. You are, is this guy's name. That's Ur's seat. When he gets back from the pisser, you best have moved on. And so Shallan's like, or Vale is like, I want to know about this person who was murdered. And there's a foppish man wearing a blue jacket. And he's like, hey, you're the one who's drinking that Horn-Eater White. Old Sullick only keeps that jug as a joke. And she's like, look, what will the information cost me? And they're like, yeah, it's not for sale. And then a big old Horn-Eater shows up. And it says he's nearly 7 feet tall. And he goes, this is my spot. And then lifts Vale and tosses her away. I love that there's no hesitation whatsoever. Like, hey, you're in my spot. Would you mind getting up? It's just like, this is my spot. Bye. But Vale, not to be outdone, stands up and dusts herself off and walks over. He's like, oh, you say this is your place. I don't see your name here. Puts her hand on top of his hand. Her safe hand, which is in a glove, which it says is a strangely intimate gesture. And she puts a knife. She pulls out her knife, pokes it into the back of her hand or onto the back of her hand. And the guy's like, oh, what is this? You're going to put on an act of being tough? I've seen men pretend. And that's when she jams the knife through her hand and through his hand and into the table. Which...
weird flex, but okay.
I mean, bizarre flex, quite frankly, yeah. Disturbs him enough that he pulls out and, like, rips the knife out of the table and sends her kind of, like, reeling a bit. And she just kind of picks her knife back up. And he's like, you're crazy. And she says, oh, wait, look, I see your mark here in blood. Seat. I was wrong. But here's mine, too. I guess you can sit in my lap if you want. And the woman's like, what, you think, like, assaulting my friends makes me more likely to talk to you? And Vale's like, oh, really? I just wanted my seat back. And starts scratching something into the table. But if you want me to start hurting people, I could. And pretty quickly, Shallan scratches something into the table. And she's like, hey, my patience is running thin. It's time to tell me what I want to know before this turns ugly. And they look down, and what has she scratched into the table? 3 interlocking diamonds, the symbol of the Ghost Bloods.
Oh, no!
She figures that...
so scary!
These people probably have heard of the Ghost Bloods, at least. They seem like they're in the know enough for that. What she does not expect is that they freak out, or at least some of them do. Like, one of them just, like, looks around, stands up and, like, looks around trembling like he expects assassins to just show up and attack out of nowhere. And the woman who's in charge here is like, we don't want nothing to do with your type. It's like, okay, fine. I just want to know about the murder. Tell me what happened. So it turns out there's a guy named Ned. Or there was a guy named Ned because dropped him off the outside of the plateau the day before. So just a drunk from Sadeas's camp. Always an angry drunk, too. Always getting into trouble.
That probably the move Adolin should have used after stabbing Sadeas. Not just drop the sword off the tower, but also Sadeas off the tower. Then there wouldn't have been a question, right? Like, oh, Sadeas has been missing for a while.
Yeah,
that's weird.
Where the hell has Sadeas gone?
I don't know.
I haven't seen that guy in days. What's up with that? Oh, well.
Yeah. Oh, he fell off the tower? Well, there's no way to tell if that eye wound is from a knife or falling off the tower.
Fair. Like, yeah, who knows really? I mean, who can say, honestly? But yeah, this Ned fellow got drunk and murdered his wife the other night. Pity too, after she followed him all the way out here.
It's also just funny as hell. Like, you have this setting with names like Kaladin, Shallan, Adolin, and who's the murderer? That's Ned.
Yeah, old Ned.
Yeah.
You know,
old Ned Barbinski.
Light eyes don't get last
He was an
names.
accountant.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Don't know he's
I'm sorry. Dark eyes don't get last names. I guess we don't know that he's dark eyes.
We don't know he's dark eyes.
Fair. And she's like, okay, and this Ned murdered his wife with a knife through the eye? And like, what? No, he strangled her. And Vale's like, what? That's it? No knife wounds? And the woman, Betha is her name, she's like, is confused? And is like, no? But I heard the murder was strange. And well, no, I mean, we knew Ned would go too far at some point. Everyone did. I guess when she tried to drag him away from the tavern that night, he finally went over the edge. And then I love that it throughout the whole thing, it's like Vale says this, Vale thinks that. At that point, literally, Shallan thought, at least once got a hold of him. So when there's like a quip to be made, we're back to Shallan.
Yeah. Two different voices here.
And she's like, okay, it looks like I've wasted your time. I'm sorry. I'll leave some money at the bar for you guys. Pay for your drinks. And as she's walking away, everyone's like, why was she so interested in Ned? Is she going to come back because I killed him? Like, no. Didn't you listen? Nobody cares that Ned killed poor Rem. Of course, it could have been about the other woman he killed. And Vale's like, wait, hold. There was another woman? Like.
Also, why didn't you tell me that before?
Yeah, it's like, things that could have been brought to her attention yesterday.
Yeah, it's like, I already asked you if something weird happened. And you were like, no, he just killed his wife. And now you're telling me he killed somebody else. What? Do you not understand what I'm asking you?
It's like, look again at that ghost blood symbol that you were also scared of and think for a minute, maybe we should mention this ahead.
To be fair, she's like, look, I was going to say that, but you just like left. You were like, oh, never mind then, and took off.
No, you weren't.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, so yeah, we would have let the watch take care of Ned, but he couldn't leave it. It's just killing poor Rem. He killed one of the barmaids here, and we can't let that pass.
I like oh yeah, no one cares that Ned killed his wife. I mean, we didn't even care. We were just gonna let the watch take care of him. But then he killed the barmaid, and oh no.
Well, because they get paid to protect this place. I mean, it makes sense.
I know, but it's funny she's admonishing them. It's like, no one cared that he killed his wife, and then it's like, oh yeah, we didn't care.
We also did not care. Yeah.
Nobody cares about poor Rem, including me.
Like, yeah, it was real weird. Like, he came back the next night and killed the barmaid in exactly the same way. He screamed the whole time we were taking him to throw him off the cliff that he hadn't killed the second one.
Yeah. So remember when I told you that guy, if there was something weird, and you were telling me, no, he just killed his wife. This is a weird thing that I was talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it is. And yeah, the barmaid was strangled exactly the same way, so we knew that he did it. Like, she even had the same mark of his ring that scraped her chin, just like Rem. Exact same marks, uncanny. And so
this is weird, right? Because it doesn't make sense. Even based on what we knew before, it doesn't make sense. Unless, like, he killed two people and he killed them the exact same way. Is that a coincidence? Because we know Adolin didn't kill that other guy. Why would he? So what's going on?
I mean, yeah, you guys were coming up with theories about who could have killed someone and made it look like the murder of Sadeas. Now we have a murder that seemingly no one cared about, and someone has killed someone in the same exact way. Again. And Vale even is like, this doesn't make sense. Like, another double murder? What does it mean? And this one, like, it's interesting because this one, like, we know who killed Sadeas. They don't. Except for Adolin, obviously. So they're looking for somebody who committed these 2 murders of important Light Eyes. Now, we know who committed the first murder here also. And it sounds like he didn't even deny it. It's like he screamed the whole time that he didn't kill the second one. So Ned admitted, I guess, to killing his wife, but claims he did. So, like, we know the first murderer in both of these situations, but we don't know the second one.
Yeah. So this critter, some kind of critter creature thing is like, oh, a murder. I'll duplicate it.
The murder spren.
The murder spren struck
Not
again.
my favorite kind of spread.
And the murder spren struck again. Why not? You don't like, why do you not like
Probably
murder spren?
because of the murdering, you know.
But it makes it more interesting.
That's kind of his whole deal. How dare you deny his identity?
Yeah. You can't tell the murder spren who and what to be.
I mean, I didn't say that I was going to tell them who and what to be. I said I was not a fan of them.
We got to you know, Dak, I don't think we got a choice. I think we got to cancel Data.
Yeah.
Hey, no, we've established earlier in the series that the Sanderlanche's official stance is opposition to murdering people.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. I forgot.
Yeah, we did put that in the official disclaimer.
Yep.
There was an episode where I said our official stance is murder is bad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We don't like it.
Sometimes I forget about my official stances.
He has so many of them, it's easy to slip your mind, yeah.
Oh, yeah, dude. I got an official stance on everything.
Official as hell over here, you know?
Yeah, I might as well write them all down.
Back to the thing. So she's like, I don't know what to make of this, so I'm going to leave now. And on the way out, she takes the jug of Horn-Eater White with her and heads out into the night. And that's the end of that. She's going to really develop a taste for Horn-Eater White. I don't know what to, you know. It's probably going to be bad for her in the long run. She's going to become an alcoholic or something, you know. We move on to the subtle art of diplomacy. 31 years ago, flashback for Dalinar. Dalinar is sitting at a big table at a big fancy dinner. Tons of candles, which he's like, what the fuck what was the point of all these candles? Candles are stupid.
Ambiance.
All like the angry notes is like, I hate candles. Why are they burning near my food?
To be fair, a lot of candles is annoying.
I agree. I was about to say, I'm not a fan of a whole bunch of candles either. I prefer not even to have candles lit in my house if possible, because we have 4 cats. That's just asking for a fire.
It's a fire hazard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I'll do 1 candle in the kitchen if we made something smelly. Like if I cooked up some bacon and, you know, it smells like bacon in the kitchen. Some people don't enjoy the smell of bacon permeating throughout the house, so I'll light a candle, but I put it out, you know, about an hour after.
Fair.
I also don't have kittens, so.
But also Dalinar is sitting here annoyed about the candles as he's like putting the end of his napkin into one of the candles and burning it. So
that was the last time Dalinar went to Cracker Barrel.
He was not welcome back after that.
They had a sign up saying, "Do not serve this man."
It's just a big old picture of Dalinar. I love it. And he stops when Gavilar glares at him. Gavilar is over here talking to a guy named Toe. Tall, blonde-haired guy from way out west. And they're discussing military tactics, kind of. The guy's like, what do you do in a high storm if you're like in the middle of a siege? And Gavilar's like, we don't really do sieges because we have soulcasters. So if you besiege a place, you're trying to starve them out. And if they can just create food out of thin air, then that doesn't really do anything. And Toe's like, yeah, okay, soulcasters. We don't have that stuff out in Rira or Erie. Fascinating. And the servants bring out big old slabs of pork and lanka claws for the men to dine on. The women are dining elsewhere. And he's fine with the crab claws. He takes his mug and bashes the claws and then bites the meat out. But when it comes time to eat his big old tasty pork, it smells real good apparently, this pork steak. He doesn't have a knife. I also love Sadeas has his own kind of table over in the corner with a bunch of lesser light eyes, all chosen because they have uncertain loyalties. So he'll persuade them, or else he and Iali will find ways to get rid of them. Not with assassins, of course. They all found that distasteful. Not the Alethi way at all. Instead, they'd maneuver him into a duel with Dalinar, because that means death, obviously. Or they'd just put him at the front during an assault. I love the unspoken character growth. Like, we're here to watch Dalinar grow from his young days to the current day. But the character growth of Sadeas is interesting to me.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, we don't assassinate people. And then he's like, I'll assassinate that guy.
Yeah. It's clear that he's changed a lot since these days. Or had changed, because he is dead now.
Right. He is dead. As far as we know.
I mean, he took a knife right through the eye, and then his body was there days later. So it seems like he's probably pretty dead.
I mean, sure. Seemed Kelsier was pretty dead too, you know?
Okay, that's a fair point. We did see his body up and walking around, but that was because a blob monster ate his bones. So, yeah.
Classic blob monster move, am I right?
I mean, that is what they do.
What if Sadeas has Shallan's power and he just weaved an image of his corpse?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point. Going back to Mistborn, was that like the deal he made with the Conjurers? Like, you can have my bones.
No, I think he paid the Conjurer. The taking of his bones to make it look like he was still alive after death was like part of the plan to create a religion.
Yeah. So he's like, take this at him, and also you can have my bones.
I don't think he cares about his bones after he's dead, except for in as much as they fit into the plan.
Right.
But that's a good point, because those bones are probably real valuable later after he becomes such an important historical figure.
Well, that Conjure dies, so I don't know if that matters.
That Conjure dies, but we know that Tensoon gets the bones in the third book. He's carrying them around with him.
He's carrying Kelsier's bones around? Yeah, that's right, he does.
He appears to two guards as Kelsier and Luthadel. It's like, take my people to the pits of Hathsin and keep them safe.
That's right. I forgot about that. Man, good times. Good old Tensoon.
Yeah, so if Tensoon's still around, he may have those bones. We've seen him hanging around, so...
yeah.
We saw the one Conjure bragging because he had Breeze's hands. So.
Yeah, I got a Sunni pup right on my bookshelf. You know,
nice. Like he's like, man, the feast. At least with these feasts, like we didn't used to do this kind of crap, but at least the food is better. So there's that. And he can't find his knife to cut his delicious pork. And so he goes, "Where did I leave my fucking?" I lent it to Teleb, didn't I? Yeah. Okay. Well, I better go get that. And we get a little more Gavilar and Toe talking about. Toe's like, oh, one sees a glint in you of your ancestor, the great Sun Maker. And Gavilar's like, I'm going to be better than the Sun Maker.
Oh, Gavilar.
And the guy's like, oh, but you're descended from him, right? Which we'd heard before, but now Gavilar's like, I mean, yeah, all 10 of the princedoms are descended from him because their founders were his sons. So, dude had a lot of sons, I guess.
Hey, man, when you're the Sun Maker, get it?
Yeah, it's kind of the whole deal.
Oh.
Like, historically, they were just misspelling his name the whole time.
Yeah, it was actually S-O-N.
But apparently his empire didn't even last one generation after his death. His sons just ripped it apart. And that was the last time Alethkar was united, so that's what Gavilar is trying to fix, basically. And Dalinar tries to get someone's attention so he can get a knife, but no one's paying attention, so he's like, fine. Has his mug with him, just throws aside the bar that is on the door, protecting them from the high storm, and just strolls out there. Icy rain, horrible winds, boulders bashing into the ground near him, and he just strolls over. Finds the bunker he's looking for, knocks, nobody answers. Ugh, how annoying. Pulls out his shard blade and slices the doors open. And the men in here have got into a defensive line, and they're ready to fight whatever is breaking into their storm bunker. And Dalinar's just standing there like, hey, Teleb, I lent you my belt knife, right? Your knife? Yeah, I lost it somewhere. I lent it to you, right? I gave it back. You used it to pry that splinter out of your saddle, remember? He's like, damnation, you're right. What did I do with that? He just turns and strolls back.
And it's like, this is the moment. In this moment, I'm reading this chapter and I'm like, what is wrong with him?
This guy's an idiot.
Like, is he just is he just too drunk? Like he's just like, I let you that knife, didn't I? And Tullib's like, yeah, but I gave it back. He's like, oh, damn it. What did I do with it? It's just like, what is wrong with you?
I love it because
like-
it's just like he doesn't give a shit about the high storm, or any of the dangers that normal people are scared of. He's just concerned about his knife.
Yeah, sure.
It's like, did he visit the Night Watcher and ask to forget the knife too?
Yeah. Hey, Night Watcher, can you make me not an idiot and also to forget my wife?
Can you find my knife for me, Night Watcher? I've looked everywhere.
It's like
Oh.
it's and the Night Watcher's like, it's in your pocket. Oh, thanks.
No, it's like he went to the Night Watcher once because he was like, maybe he knew they were going to force him to get married, so he asked the Night Watcher to forget about the wife. Night Watcher misheard him and thought he said knife.
Oh, there you
And
go.
then he came back years and years later, and it's like, hey, you need to fix this. You made me forget the wrong thing.
I said knife or wife, not knife.
And the Night Watcher's like, I'm sorry, man, I was drunk too.
That makes so much sense.
I drank too much
Yeah.
Sapphire.
But no, my actual favorite part is on his stroll back, a giant boulder slams into the ground near him, and he doesn't care. He looks over, and there is something luminous in the distance, a gargantuan figure that moved on spindly, glowing legs. We've heard about weird stuff in the
Yeah.
storms before, but this is very specific.
Yeah, that's it's freaking weird.
Didn't we when Kaladin and Shallan were in the chasm in the high storm, didn't they see weird figures moving up above as well?
I think so. But then Dalinar just sees that, walks back up to the feast hall, gave the whatever it was a rude gesture, and then pushed back inside.
It's like, fuck off, I'm walking here.
Hey, big glowy fucking thing. You got my knife?
No, fuck you.
I love that he sees it says the whatever it was. He has no idea what this is either.
Yeah, not a hint of curiosity.
Nope.
And
Just does not
and again,
care.
it's like this is so foreign to who Dalinar is. Like if Dalinar saw a big glowy thing now in his current age and he had no idea what it was, he'd be like, well, we got to figure this mystery out.
No, this Dalinar just wants to eat his damn pork.
Why
Yeah.
doesn't he just mash into his face?
He walks back into the room.
He's showing all the self-awareness.
Water he's soaked from being out in the rain, water streaming off him. He's got his mug that he was carrying with him, which was empty and is now full of water. And he takes a drink out of that. And everyone is silently staring at him. And Gavilar's like, dude, is everything all right? Yeah, I lost my storming knife. Thought I left it in the other bunker. He raised his mug and took a loud, lazy slurp of rainwater.
Yeah. It's like,
Fishy.
bro, I lose my favorite knife. I can't eat my pork. It's just annoying is what it is.
I'm assuming Brandon just left out the part where he just scratched himself and farted.
You don't have to describe every detail. It's fine.
Right.
We pictured that already.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
it's like-
read through the lines, in
Yeah.
between the lines. We got the subtext.
Yep. It doesn't say that happened, so we're forced to assume that it did.
Yeah.
And Toe is over here like, I gotta go. And takes off.
This is freaking me out a little bit. I gotta get out of here.
And Galar's like, you may have just proven in one moment a point I've spent half an hour trying to make politically. He wonders if we're strong enough to protect him. I was like, oh, is that what you guys were talking about? Yeah, obliquely, yeah.
He's like, I thought you guys were talking about knives. Wanted to join in and show you mine.
Dalar's like, how do I get one of these fancy servants to give me a storming knife? And Galar's like, dude, they're master servants. You raise your hand in this special way and they come over. Don't you remember?
It's like, why can't I just ask them?
Yeah, right.
I'm with Dalinar on this. Like, why do I have to make a special hand signal? Why can't I just tell them, hey, can you bring me a knife?
And some guys come over. Gavilar's like, hey, bring Dalinar a knife. And they're like, okay, we'll do that. And here comes Navani, and we get another bunch about how beautiful Navani is. A figure to make a man weep for desire. His brother's wife.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
And so he holds up his hand because he can't have Navani around without wine. He needs some wine. And the guy's like, I will see to your desires, of course. You might want to know that the sign is a little bit off. Let me demonstrate. And Dalinar makes a rude gesture. It's like, is that better? Just give me some fucking wine. Violet, enough to fill this 3 times at least. And Violet is the strongest wine that they do. So
Yeah. Well, it's Dalinar, so.
Yeah. And while Gavilar's been talking to Toe, Iali and Navani have been talking to the sister. Iali says she's a touch vapid, and Navani goes, a touch? Like, come on. And this is where we find out that these guys left their home country, and they have one card to play. They have Shard Plate that they took from Rira, and that apparently their kinsmen are very pissed off about.
Yeah, I think we heard a little bit about that in an earlier chapter.
Yep. Also, this is like the most Iali we've got in all book.
It is. I think maybe almost ever.
All series. Yeah.
Navani's like, look at how he stares at Dalinar. You must have really impressed him. And then she looks, are you wet?
So, this chapter has made me realize, like, man, Dalinar, you really wanted Navani, but I can see why she went with Gavilar.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Oh boy.
And then Sadeas comes over and sits down on the same chair as his wife. They like do a half on, half off thing. And
which is weird.
Yeah. Throws down a bunch of men's food because Iali likes spicy food. So good for her.
You know what? Like, as much as we hate on Sadeas, and as much as he deserves to be hated on, he does genuinely love his wife.
It seems that way, right? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
They were a match made in hell.
Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, but
Yeah.
it's still weird.
Oh, it is, but like, at least there's Sadeas has some positive qualities, which makes him. I think I talked about that before. It's like there are times when it's like you're not completely shit. You're almost there, but you're not completely shit.
Positive qualities such as slaying tables while his wife, slays a bunch of men's food.
Yeah, where's the Sadeas origin novella or where a table killed his family?
That's what we need.
Yeah, probably happened exactly like that.
Yeah.
Tables,
Yep.
Yeah, or we need the Brandon. We need the Brandon origin story where he got bit by a horse.
Yep.
Yep.
And Sadeas is like, hey, what are we talking about, y'all? And Iali says, we're talking about getting Dalinar married. And Dalinar's like, wait, what? Like, I have not been paying any attention to what's going on right here.
Jesus Christ, how oblivious is he? Don't answer that.
And as Dalinar continues to drink wine, Sadeas is like, you could try water sometime, And he goes, I had some rainwater earlier. Everyone looked at me funny. And so Gavilar thinks this is what we need. Like, not just the shard, but like if people from outside the kingdom start coming to me as the representative of Alethkar, then we could unite the country just through legitimacy. And then a servant brings him a knife, and Dalinar's like, what am I supposed to do with this little thing? I can't cut a pork steak with this. Which leads to my favorite section. Iali being like, attack it! Pretend it's some thick-necked man who's insulted your biceps. If someone insulted my biceps, I wouldn't attack him. I'd refer him to a physician, because obviously something is wrong with his eyes.
What is he talking about? What is Dalinar talking about?
He's got some big biceps, okay?
Yeah, but why? I just don't get it. I'm just like, what?
He's like one of those.
Now you're bragging about your arms?
He's like one of those late teens, early 20s something, like gym bros who's like, yeah, look at my gains, bro.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I got 2 tickets to the gun show.
Yeah. I'm Dalinar. Check out my sweet biceps.
And they have a discussion about the Sunmaker. Why did he fail? And Gavilar seems to think it's because he didn't stop. He's like, has any conqueror ever just like finished conquering some stuff and been like, you know what, this is good. This is what I wanted. I'm good.
Yeah. Alexander the Great all over.
Yeah.
Again.
And Dalinar's like, I just want to eat my steak. And he holds up his knife and it's now bent in the middle. And Navani's like,
my steak.
Navani's like, how did you even do that? And he's like, I don't know.
I like how he's like, I don't know. It's like, I applied too much force to it, obviously.
And
I used my giant bicep.
Like, I think the thing that really bothers me about this whole chapter is like, there is important things going on.
Yep.
And Dalinar is in his own world.
He is.
He is doing his thing. And it does not matter what everybody else is doing. Which, by the way, they're basically picking his wife for him. Yep. And he's just like, I got steak to eat. I don't care.
Yeah,
Like his history is being made at the table, and he's just like, my knife.
Yeah, it's like this isn't even a battle of which he's a participant in. This is actually all about him.
Yeah.
And he's just like, look at my arms and this tiny potato peeler they gave me to cut my food.
It just doesn't. It's not. It's hey, you think this computes over here?
And then Gavilar is like gets this look, like he's deep in thought. Why are we at war, brother? And I was like, what? Again? Do you not remember how this started? And he's like, no, remind me. Okay. Well, see, we looked at this place here, this kingdom, and we realized, hey, all these people have stuff. And we figured, maybe we should have that stuff. So we took it.
Jesus Christ, was he dropped on his head?
And Gavilar's like, did you never think of like what it meant? Like a kingdom? Something bigger than yourself? And he's, no, that's stupid. When people fight, it's about stuff.
I wanted the stuff. It's basic economy and shit, you know? It's like they have it. I want it. Imperialism, you know?
And Gavilar's like, okay, maybe. But there's something I want you to listen to. The codes of war from the old days. And then we see the first sight of Evie, Toe's sister. 18 or 19. Tall, but kind of like, he says, she has a sense of flimsiness about her. Real slender. But that yellow hair really makes her stand out. Like, she's blonde, and that's all the Alethi are dark black hair, so this is different.
It is different.
And apparently she's not used to the safe hand thing. Like, she's wearing a sleeveless dress with like a pouch tied around her hand, and she keeps trying to use it for stuff.
Oh, boy, this safe hand thing.
And Ioli tries to sell it to him, like, oh, they're always going around half-clothed out in the West, you know? They're not as inhibited as these prim Alethi women. I bet she's quite exotic in the bedroom. And Donner's like, yeah, whatever. And then he sees a knife. In the hand, hidden behind the back of the server clearing Gavilar's plate. It's an assassin, here to kill Gavilar. Dalinar swings into action, no hesitation. Breaks a leg off of Gavilar's chair with a kick to send Gavilar to the ground, just as the assassin is swinging for him. Leaps up, grabs the assassin by the neck, slams him to the floor, takes that knife that he was just using and stabs him in the chest with it. All this before Gavilar can even get back to his feet and summon his shard blade. Then he pulls the knife out of the guy's chest and goes, this is a good knife. Rinses it off in his wine, and then starts to eat his pork with it and says, good pork.
I don't care how strong that wine was. Like, you just took that out of a guy.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be doing what he's doing, but it's, you know, it's brute Dalinar. Which, you know, I will say this is a cool moment. It's interesting. And we now like realize why Dalinar was like, if only I hadn't been too drunk, because he like beat the shit out of that assassin without like a single thought. So he definitely would have believed that he could have stopped the assassin in white the first time if he hadn't been too drunk. He couldn't have because of, you know, the powers, but we get it.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but now that you've said that, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get the impression this may even be like this relationship where he's protecting his brother without even a thought may be like a regular thing for them.
Yeah, especially now that Gavilar's grown and has so many enemies now.
And there's also the note where he's like, I'm not going to drink the wine that I'd washed his blood off in. I'm not a barbarian. Why is everyone staring at me weird?
God, haven't you ever seen a guy stab a guy and then eat some pork? I mean, come on.
And Sadeas is like, ugh, our enemies grow desperate, cowardly, an assassin during a storm, and Alethi should be ashamed of such action. So yeah, he's grown.
Yeah, get it? Because that's the thing he did that one time.
And then Gavilar's just like, look, Dalinar, I know I said I wanted you to be able to choose your own bride, but... And Dalinar's like, yeah, fine, I'm in.
Yeah, whatever.
And that's the end of that chapter.
Good pork, I don't care anymore.
Well, I guess there's the moment where he acknowledges, he's like, I'm not going to have Navani, so whatever, I'll just take what I got.
Yep. Which, you know, you get it.
Yeah. And our last chapter, Cords to Bind. However, with a dangerous spice, you can be warned to taste lightly. I would that your lesson may not be as painful as my own. All right. Kaladin is showing the Parshman how to do stuff. Like, he's wrapping up a cut that one of them got using his knife to cut some wood. And he explains to her about, like, boiling bandages first and washing out for rot spren. Then he goes over and helps another guy. Saw is over here creating an axe out of like a rock and a piece of wood. And he's like, no, you got to get the leather wet and really get it tight on there before it dries, or the rock will come off mid-swing. And the parchment like does what he says, but seems annoyed by this. And Cal's like, look, if there's something wrong with my advice, and the guy's like, no, there's nothing wrong. But where'd you learn to give orders like light eyes? And I hate having to be taught things I should already know. I hate needing your help. We ran away from you damn humans, and the first thing you know, we're back to following human orders again. This is ridiculous. And the yellow spren isn't any better. He tells us we're free in one breath, and then the next breath berates us for not obeying him quickly enough. Or she. It still says she in mine. But
I need to know more about this yellow spren.
100%.
Yeah. This yellow spren seems like a major dick.
And Kaladin's like, I mean, I kind of know what you mean. Like, I've been free for the first time in these last few months since I was a kid, basically. And what did I do? I stayed in the same place serving another Alethi High Lord. Like, I changed almost nothing. And then he's like, are you worried? Giving us, like, helping us make cakes is one thing, but you're giving us weapons here. And he's like, it's not a weapon, that's a tool. He's like, yeah, but using the same method, I'm going to make a spear. And Kaladin wants to, like, we don't need to fight. We don't have to hate each other. Our people don't have to fight. And Saw is like, why not? Like they have this discussion for a while, and he's just like, look, let me ask you something. Considering everything that was done to me, why would I not want to fight you the Alethi? And Kaladin's like, I got nothing for that.
Man, this whole protecting those who deserve it, even if I don't like him thing, is really going to cause me some problems in a minute.
Yeah, it's rough. It's a rough one.
And Kaladin's like, look, I know good people among like the High Alethi. We can talk to them. We'll show them that you're just regular people, and they'll listen. They'll agree to give you your freedom, which is not how you should phrase that, because as far as this guy's concerned, he is free. Nobody needs to give him his freedom. That was not the way that I would have phrased that.
No. But Kaladin, he's young. He's not extremely intelligent.
Mm. And Saw makes another good point where he's like, what, we should be free now because we act like you, we talk like you, before we deserve to be slaves because we were different? Like, is that what you're trying to say here? This is why I'm angry, okay? And the fact that I need you to show me all this stuff just reinforces the belief, maybe within my own self, that you guys are better than us and you guys should be the ones who get to decide about our freedom. So I'm like, yeah, I understand why this guy's pissed off. And then Syl shows up and says that she can sense a high storm coming. He's like, wait, what, really? Yeah, it's like a day or 3 away. I guess I always could have done this. I just never needed to before. You guys always had the lists. And on the other side, Kaladin's like, I can't do this, Syl. I can't spend time with these people. The more I see their side, the harder it gets to, fight a war against the Voidbringers when I now know that they're just normal dudes. The Voidspren are going to drive these Parchment into an army, and, I mean, rightly so, after what we did to them, and we'll have to fight them. The only way I can fight the Voidbringers is to pretend that there's a difference between the ones I have to protect, between the ones I have to protect and the ones I have to kill. Okay. Sorry, I just need to finish that sentence. What's up, baby?
That means been both for the guy. But mommy said we have to prepare the party.
Well, you should do that.
Yeah. You can tell me good at that.
I'd have you. Good. And that is where that chapter wraps up. So, predicaments. What do you guys think? Where are we going? What is going to happen based on what we've just read? Oh, and I guess I should get into what we're doing next time, right? For next time, we're reading 4 chapters. Chapters 21 through 24. And the titles of those chapters are 21 is Set Up to Fail. 22 is The Darkness Within. 23 is Storming Strange. And 24 is Men of Blood and Sorrow.
I have no idea what any of those are supposed to mean.
Fair.
All right, so I mean, we sort of made jokes about it, but I actually now that we've gotten the whole copycat murder thing, and it seems to be just on random people. I think maybe it is actually a murder spren. Maybe it's one of the unmade has come to find out what's going on up at Urithiru, and is just doing its usual thing of let's do some murder, but in a very strange way, like in a spren copycat kind of way.
What we know of the unmade is they are some weird things that do weird stuff. So yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like I don't want to go all in on it's definitely an unmade. It could be, but it could just be like a very powerful spren of Odium's ilk, just doing its thing. Seems to like drawn to murders and then like reproducing them somehow. So yeah, I don't think it's a person doing the murders. I think it is a spren. But yeah, we'll see where that goes. Yeah, that's really all I've got at this point. Like we haven't really progressed too much with Kaladin. We're sort of in a holding pattern there until something more monumental happens. So who knows? And yeah, we'll just wait and see.
It would be interesting. I don't know that we've ever seen a spren that could like physically do something to a person before.
No, but there we have seen like more powerful spren altering the outside world. The Stormfather being the most obvious.
Oh yeah, the Stormfather probably kills lots of people with that storm. Yeah, okay, fair.
Yeah. And there was that, the big thing out in the water that acts as the collector.
Yeah. Yep.
Was watching, like, was clearly able to manipulate the environment, so maybe was able to, I don't know, do something. Maybe it's like, because I mean there are death spren, aren't there?
So we heard
Like,
that Death Spren were like a legend or a rumor that like because nobody who sees them survives to like or something like that. But then when Kaladin was on the verge of dying, he like saw Syl fighting off these spren that looked like what Death Spren were supposed to look like.
Yeah,
So-
okay. Maybe I'm thinking of rot spren, are the ones that people see over a dead body. But it's like, if like Syl is an honor spren and the Stormfather is like the big granddaddy of honor spren. Maybe there's the death spren, and then one of the unmade is like the grand high death spren above them, and just like can absorbing the spren's affection with like death and being surrounded by death, and they can then use that to mimic that onto someone else. Because like there was the whole notes, like even like the other girl that got strangled by Ned, like still had the mark on like the ring
Yeah.
around the neck, so they have to copy specific details. I think the choice in victims plays into it, because like Sadeas was a High Lord, and then it was another High Lord who got killed the same way. Whereas when it's I assume, dark-eyed woman who got strangled, and then another dark-eyed woman got strangled. So, yeah.
That's a good point. There, it wasn't like some random guy got this. It was a similar like station person and gender and stuff. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I like those theories, Dak. Those are good.
Thanks.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Set up to fail. That sounds like maybe we set up to fail sounds to me like maybe it's a Shallan chapter, because she has been set up to fail, like with the things that are going on as far as like investigating the murders and the deaths and stuff, right? Like she's been set up to fail in as much as her betrothed killed Sadeas, and she doesn't know that, so she's kind of set up to fail. That's kind of where I feel like maybe that terminology is coming from. So maybe in this chapter she finds out about it. I don't know. We'll go with that. I don't know. The other ones were real weird. I'm assuming it's going to be another Dalinar chapter at some point and another Kaladin chapter at some point, maybe 2 Shallan chapters. I feel like that's been our pattern for a lot of this book, is like 2 Shallan chapters, a Dalinar chapter, and a Kaladin chapter. So maybe that's what we'll get again. Yeah, where are we going? I like I said, I really like Dak's theory. It makes there's a good amount of sense involved with that, especially with like, a High Lord was killed, and then another High Lord was killed, and then a random dark-eyed lady was killed, and another random dark-eyed lady was killed. Like there's a certain amount of equality in the deaths in that way. If there has to be 2, then there's some equality there. Now, why that is a thing, is a little stranger, a little harder to maybe try to come up with an explanation for. The idea of it being a spren sounds like a strong possibility. Sounds like a really interesting kind of way for it to be manifested. When we were talking about it, when Dak was talking about it, it made me think of like Marsh becomes Iron Eyes, basically. He becomes the Grim Reaper. And it made me think, what if there's a Grim Reaper spren? Like everyone who dies is visited by the Grim Reaper spren. That would be pretty cool.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'd like to know what the Grim Reaper spren looks like if that's the case.
Does it look like Marsh? That would be
That
good.
would be interesting if it looked like Marsh, but I doubt it does. And it would also, like, is there an afterlife on this planet, because we know on Scadrial there was like a short amount of time where they would go and see like God's like leftover spirit, and then they would move on. He would like move them on. Preservation would. So like, is there some kind of afterlife on this planet? If so, like, what does that consist of? You know, it's almost like it makes me think like the Alethi, which I don't know that it has said this, but it makes me think the Alethi would have like a Valhalla style afterlife where they're just like constantly in battles. But who knows? That's kind of a digression, but I just thought it was an interesting thing to think about. Man, yeah. There's just a lot going on, a lot of mysteries leading to more questions than answers, which is pretty normal for Brandon's books, especially this early on in the book. But I really hope some of these mysteries start unraveling pretty quickly, because I'm not like I said, my biggest issue with the Stormlight books is probably their pacing. I just like to get going. You know, I feel like we haven't gotten into the meat of the story just yet, and I'd really like to get there. So I'm hoping that these chapters will begin to at least answer some questions, unravel some mysteries, or at least get us within like throwing distance of them, because, you know, we left Dalinar almost on like a cliffhanger last time before we had his flashback chapter this round, where it was like, oh, you said my wife's name and I remembered it. Like, we need to know what's going on with that. That's important. Something's changed. Something is different. You know, we don't know if the Stormlight is what healed it, but that is something that I feel like we should know. So anyway, that's all I got this week.
You made an interesting point about the setup to fail. I hadn't thought of it that way, but Shallan, in trying to investigate this murder with the information being held back, has definitely been set up to fail in some ways. Although she's then discovered some interesting details. So
yeah, so she's pieced together, you know, something that we had no clue was going on, that seems like it has something to do with at least the second death, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where our theory crafting has come from this week. Yeah, it'd be really interesting if some kind of like major spren was behind it, or it would be even more interesting if like somehow Urithiru itself has some kind of like equilibrium style thing within it. It's like there has to be some kind of balance on Urithiru. I don't know why that would be or how that would work, but Dalinar should just ask the Stormfather, and the Stormfather should just tell him what's going on. That's what I think.
Yeah, Stormfather, why don't you freaking share some information for once?
Yeah, why don't you stop being all hoity-toity and being like, you're not ready to know that. Just give me the information.
That would be nice, right?
Yeah.
Also interesting about the afterlife thing, because the closest we've seen to that is Secret History, when we see Fuzz or Preservation, like, say, talking to people, but then, sending them on to whatever comes next. We know what the Alethi believe about their afterlife, which is, like you said, kind of a Hall thing, where they're like, once we die, we go and help the Heralds try to retake the Tranquiline Halls in a great battle. But
I like
whether that's anything like reality, who knows?
I like how you called him Fuzz instead of Laras or whatever his name is.
I think Fuzz is what we call him for most of that books or that short story. So I think that's what it's just in my head that way. But yeah, Laras, Preservation, Fuzz. Wait, he's got a lot of names, that fella.
Yeah, Laras the Fuzz Preservation.
Not around anymore. Shame.
No,
He
gone.
seemed like a decent sort.
I guess.
But yeah, so who knows if we'll ever know more about the afterlife here on Roshar? If Honor's not around anymore, is like Odium greeting people as they die? Like, give them a good kick. Like, screw you.
You thought life sucked? Well, welcome to my world.
Buckle up, Buttercup.
What's interesting to me also is like the cognitive realm is where the Spren live on Roshar, right? But like, how interconnected by I forget the term in the Sanderson universe, not parallel, but what is it?
Perpendicularities? The portals?
Yeah, the perpendicularities. How interconnected is the cognitive realm by perpendicularities? Like, are there Spren in the cognitive realm on Scadrial? Because we know that I forget their name now too. We know the people from Elantrians. We know they ended up in the cognitive realm on Scadrial.
Yep.
Yeah.
We didn't. I mean, we were in the cognitive realm for almost all of Secret History and didn't see anything Spren-like, but that doesn't necessarily tell us decidedly that there aren't.
We definitely saw Elantrians, so.
Yep. So yeah, fair question. The world may never know. All right, so let's do some emails. The first one is from Matt, and it says, "Thanks and well wishes from a fan in Japan. Hey, and konnichiwa, Sanderlanche crew. I've been listening for the last couple of months, and while I haven't caught up yet with your current episodes, I just wrapped up with your dive into Warbreaker, and I couldn't wait to share my thanks and appreciation for all the joy you've given me listening to your show. I've been living in Japan for a while now, and while I've managed to find some of Sanderson's work in the English section of the library, I haven't had too many chances to take in some of the deeper discussions and critical analysis of all of his magical worlds. I especially enjoy your unabashed criticisms of the parts you don't like, while standing up for those parts you love. Online communities for popular fandoms can often be filled with too much zealous positivity, so I appreciate when folks are willing to respect the good and bad of creative works. You all bring such great insight and unique perspectives from which to see things in a new light. Dak's bold predictions and jovial energy, Jaymee's keen eye for bringing up a little story and character moments I wouldn't have noticed, Joe's analytical questioning and his hunt for answers, and Data's skillful shepherding along the way, while giving listeners who've read the series plenty of wink-wink, nudge-nudge references to deeper Cosmere lore. I don't think I have the capability or free time to blaze through and catch up like some other listeners have, but for now, wasing to the time of next, in the world of tomorrow, to be read in Futurama reference style, which I think I did. Arigato, and thanks from Matt. P.S. Don't know how credible the screenshot is I've attached, but there's a 5-star on Spotify.
The image is not credible?
It's a screenshot of a 5-star Spotify review. I'm fine with it, so yes.
Yeah, I'll give
send
you
us that.
I'll jump you into the Mist and Crew, my friend. That was a really good email. I really enjoyed that email, and great to have you as a listener all the way from Japan. I think Data and I were talking about this earlier. We'd both like to visit Japan at some point.
Yeah, we were talking about that right before we started recording.
Yeah. So I'm going to
would
give you a seer power because I feel like you saw into the future for us a little bit there.
It's a much easier trip, I feel like, for you, Dak, than for us.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, distance-wise, but yeah, in this economy,
I guess that's true.
Fair.
Yeah, I'm going to look that up right now. Flight from Australia to Japan.
I was telling Joe as we were getting started that my wife was pricing out, like, we were considering the possibility of doing a trip to Tokyo Disney. And it looks very, very expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. It honestly, it's not much cheaper for you to fly to Japan than it is for me, Dak.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
bollocks.
Let's see. Well, I say that it's actually like $1,000 less for you to do it.
That is a good amount.
That is a significant amount.
Yeah. Is that in Australian dollars or US dollars, though?
I don't know. I assume US because of where I'm located while searching this.
So thank you, Matt. That was awesome. Let's do one more. We got one from Marla, which is titled Oathbringer. Marla says, "Hello, y'all. I just wanted to say that I'm giddy about the fact that Jaymee listened to and liked the no mating chapter, because Kate doing pattern is my second favorite thing in the Cosmere. My most favorite to date is the ridiculous hotel chapter in Era 2. No insights or questions. I just highly recommend that everyone listen to the audio of that chapter at least once. Cheers from Marla."
Okay, gonna have to go check that out, I guess.
I agree, though. The hotel chapter in Era 2 is hilarious. So
I feel bad, but I don't even remember that.
it's like they go to the other city and they're at the hotel, and like Wax is like breaking open the window so he can get in and out quick and slamming doors.
Yeah.
And it's just
And
the right
lady
point to stand in the
who
room.
owns the hotel's like, "What are you doing?"
And then Wayne keeps trying to trade her for like a shoe for her hat, even though it was like her shoe or something. And then
Like Steris is dictating stuff as well.
yeah, Steris has a folder of all of the possible things that might happen that the hotel might want to be prepared for while they stay there. And the lady starts flipping through and it's like, cattle stampede. And Steris is like, yeah, that one's a real low probability, but you never know.
It is a probability.
Yeah, that was like a Three Stooges bit.
Yeah,
it really
good.
was. It gets crazy in there. But yes, we got a few more emails, but I will save them for next time. Thank you guys for your emails. We got a couple new patrons, and then we will finish up, y'all. We have our first new patron at the ska level is Timothy.
Timothy, you are a fire soul. You store warmth.
And that's funny because we actually got another email about someone who wanted to be a fire soul. But anyway, we'll get to that when we get to that. Our other new patron this week at the Shard of Adonalsium level is Luke.
Luke, I gotta make you a blood maker if you're a Shard of Adonalsium. I mean, how many of those are there? Blood maker's such a cool power.
There is exactly exactly 16 open slots for the Shard of Adonalsium level. 10 of them are currently filled. So, it's a very
you
limited.
You too could be an Addy or a Laras.
Yeah.
Or if you want to somehow be combined to Harmonium.
I don't want to sound like I'm shilling for that because there is almost, and I stress that almost, no additional benefit to that highest level of our Patreon. You get all the same benefits as anybody else. I just thought that 16 members at $16 a month at Shard of Adonalsium was a cool thing. I added that on the Discord, you get a special color if you join our Discord and connect Discord to your Patreon. That special Discord role also gives you no additional Discord benefits. It's just a different color. So don't go out of your way to try to snatch up a Shard of Adonalsium slot.
Yeah, I wasn't saying give us more money. Definitely, that's not where I was coming from. I was just saying it exists.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you, new patrons. You guys are awesome. If anyone wants to check out our Patreon, it's the Sanderlanche podcast on Patreon. Mostly it is my reactions to the books as I read them for the first time. I'm still in the middle of Wind and Truth. A new one didn't come out the week that we're recording this because I was gone. But the last one that came out was chapters 84 through 86 of Wind and Truth. So gradually progressing there. Check that out if you want to hear my first time reactions to things, as well as a couple other little things that we've got out there. Mostly it's me. If you'd like to send us an email like those folks did, the address is thesanderlanche@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram and Blue Sky, and I already said Patreon, all those kind of places on the interwebs. If you want to keep track of what we're doing and don't want to just listen to somebody, shout out to the person who replied to my most recent Reddit post about the podcast with I'm 118 episodes in. I want to send you guys an email. What's your email address? This is the segment of the show where I say the email address every week.
I wonder if they skip when we stop talking about the books.
I kind of suspect that is what happens in those cases, that someone's just like, oh, they're not talking about the book anymore. They're reading emails or whatever. I don't need to listen to that. But it's always funny to me. I'm like, well, here's the email address. We're not keeping it a secret, man. Here you go. But yes, we appreciate everyone who's emailing in with fun little conversation bits. We appreciate, thank you to our patrons. Thank you to people on the Discord. You can join our Discord from a link on our website if you want, which is www.thesanderlanche.com. Thank you to everyone who's just showing up every week and listening to these episodes. You guys are awesome. We appreciate you. Remember, 4 episodes for next time. No, that's not right. 4 chapters for next time, 21 through 24.
I was about to say, I don't recall recording 4 episodes in advance.
If you're reading along with us, read those 4 chapters for the next discussion. Music by Miracle of Sound, and Wasing to the Time of Next. Colo, P.S. Fasher. Crab at thee!
Coronas wide, supernovas die, fractured in the fateful fall of man. Feel the heart raging of a strength unseen. Unity will bring the upper hand. So look to the break of dawn.